Hi, hello. Um, let's start this off with a little icebreaker, okay? So I'm gonna tell you guys a story about me. So I went to my grandparents' place a few days ago for a family reunion. I'm sure we've all been to big family events before, wedding, just eating, whatever reason, right? And usually in family reunions, we divide the tables up into three sections: the men, the women, and the children. This is because all of the men are expected to be having alcohol, while the women and children are not expected to. It's like the popular saying we have that involves a flag. Think to yourself for a second, see if you know it. This is the saying, "Tai vô tiểu như cờ vô phong," which translates to, "A man without alcohol is like a flag without wind." It's a very simple concept. Please allow me to demonstrate. I have a flag here with me. Please imagine this is a man, right? Without alcohol. So sad. Pathetic. He's so sad. Look. Oh, but with alcohol. Wow. Look at him. So confident, flowing in the air. No alcohol. With alcohol. Very simple concept. It's a very harmless assumption to be assuming that all men will be drinking. But it really got me thinking about the culture and stereotypes we have made up for men. You see, gender discrimination is a problem everywhere. When the term gender inequality is mentioned, we would usually think of a woman. However, most of us are forgetting that men also have stereotypes and expectations that they have to live up to. Now, I'm not saying that we should be victimizing all men and forgetting all about the problems that women face. Not at all. Being born a man already comes with mountains of privilege. Take, for example, the gender pay gap. Here we have a graph of the different gender pay gaps in different nations in the world, leading with Korea at a 32.5% difference. This is an enormous difference considering we live in a world where we aim for equality. Now this, amongst other reasons, will also influence people's preferences of sons over daughters because they are genuinely convinced that having a son means that that son can better provide for their family or better provide for the family than a daughter can in that saying. This leads to things such as sex selective abortion, a higher crime rate, a higher rate of women trafficking, or even prostitution in areas with a higher male ratio, which can be clearly demonstrated through China's one-child policy. Sorry, I feel a sneeze coming. Now, you see, because men have these expectations that they have to live up to, they are taught very negatively about themselves from a very young age. And this is where the toxic part comes in. You see, after centuries of being forced to fulfill these stereotypes, the character we've built up for a man has slowly morphed into what we now know as toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is a tricky phrase, and if misunderstood, can be wildly controversial. The meaning of toxic masculinity has evolved over time. However, a short definition for it, according to Cambridge, still works, according to Cambridge Dictionary, are the ideas of how a man should behave that is seen as harmful. The notion of toxic masculinity has been around since forever and is still present in our daily lives. For example, think for yourself for a second. You see a man crying. Oh no, why is he crying? Maybe his girlfriend broke up with him. Maybe he lost his job. What would you initially say to this crying man? Right? Hey, stop crying. Why are you crying? Why are you such a girl? Why are you being a baby? Can you just man up for a second? Man up, the phrase in itself. A man is supposed to be strong, tough, masculine. They are the breadwinner of the family. They are the stereotypical boy who grew up playing with toy cars and wants to be a superhero. A little boy who likes playing with dolls will automatically be assumed to have a problem. And if that same little boy grows up to like the color pink, or loves doing makeup, or just needs to cry sometimes, he will then be deemed and mocked as gay. We've made feeling sadness and vulnerability into a feminine thing, which is ridiculous, quite frankly, because all humans think and feel. As boys grow older, they begin to feel the need to stop expressing themselves. This is usually around the age of 14 or 15. And it's not just statistical data that shows this, because you see, those are boys around my age, and I personally see this happen every day. Those are my classmates, my friends, and people who I care for very deeply. And it's upsetting to see them begin to stop expressing themselves and potentially exposing themselves to the danger of toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is an incredibly dangerous concept and brings not only negative effects to the ones who practice it, but to many other. And it is no coincidence that around the age where boys begin to feel the need to remove feelings from their narrative, the suicide rate in boys increased by 5 times compared to girls. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, men who are pressured into practicing toxic masculinity are more likely to participate in extreme sports, engage in the use of cigarettes, drugs, and alcohol. Not only does toxic masculinity leave profound consequences on one's physical health, it also leaves them with the constant feeling of isolation, the need to maintain a hostile attitude, or the constant need to rebel. This makes them more likely to not show their emotional vulnerability, or not show sympathy and empathy for others, or to even seek help when they are aware that they need it, because doing these things make them seem weak. Hence, they are more likely to endure it by themselves and end up suffering alone. Even the World Health Organization itself has confirmed that men who practice toxic masculinity are more likely to die early or commit suicide. Vietnam, you see, is still a very male-dominant society, which makes issues like this become overlooked. Many Vietnamese women who suffer from spousal abuse tend to remain silent to earn the respect from their family members or community, because they genuinely believe that this is the way to show the man's dominance in the relationship, or that they just don't have the rights to speak up for themselves anyway. So why try, right? Women are recorded saying that they are proud of being beaten. Yeah, proud of getting hit, because that is their way of keeping the family together. And it's very upsetting, yes, indeed. Men are portrayed as hypermasculine, which means that they are more likely to express this through aggression. Then the female willingly accepts because she too was taught to believe the same thing, and this eventually leads to an abusive relationship. Now that we've established the uglier side of masculinity, I'm sure you're wondering if there's a solution to this. Well, the first and foremost thing we need to do before any major course of actions is taken is to establish a newer and healthier definition for masculinity. I'm glad to inform you that we've been making some progress on this issue globally in the past few years. You see, sociologists are beginning to see the emergence of a newer, healthier definition of masculinity, promoted by celebrities such as David Beckham, Frank Ocean, or even Barack Obama himself. These role models encourage men to seek a healthier definition for masculinity, a more feminized version of masculinity, to be more open about their emotional vulnerability, to show sympathy and empathy for others, so on and so forth. We're also beginning to see similar role models like this emerge in Vietnam. For most notably, our multi-talented artist, Chen Tang. Many have shared that they feel empathy towards this artist because he is creating a new definition for masculinity nationwide, though he is still very wildly criticized for being fake or not masculine enough. You see, Chen Tang, similar to many celebrities, is currently hosting his own TV show, where he tends to get very emotional when the contestants are sharing their backstories. The backstories are indeed very heartwarming, but instead of acknowledging this, people just look at the sobbing man on screen, laugh at him, and then make him into some sort of meme. You see, we live in a world where it's so rare to see a man cry that when we actually witness one, we're so shocked we just make it into a joke. A man can't even cry in this world without becoming some sort of joke to people. It just proves how insignificant and non-important this issue is to many. And the sooner we recognize how serious this issue is, the faster we can put an end to toxic masculinity. Thank you.